Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuznuz and welcome to another video. We are doing yet again another tier list here. You guys seem to really enjoy these videos, so this tier list is going to be the most difficult boss pets to get in RuneScape 3. Now this is going to take into account the difficulty of the boss, of course, also the pet drop rate, and just how much of a grind you're going to have to go through to get these pets. So we're going to start off here with the Vindicta pet, or not the Vindicta pet, sorry, the Twin Furies pet, the first one. There are two, so I'm going to put this in C tier as, you know, God Wars 2 is kind of a easy to medium level content, so it's not too hard to do. The drop rate isn't too bad for it, so just by that, I think it just gets an average C. Next, we're going to go on to the General Gardor pet, which the boss itself is really easy, but the pet rate is 1 in 5,000 with a threshold of 1 in 1,000. So this pet is going to take you a lot of kills to grind for, although it won't be that bad to kill. It's still going to take you a while, so that's why I'm putting that into C. Now we have the Araxor base pet, which I'm going to put in B tier, as the base pet, you don't have a threshold, and I believe it's 1 in 500 to 1 in 1k depending on your enrage. A lot of people go really dry on the Araxor base pet, and it can take you a long time to get, which is why I'm going to put it in B tier. Next we have Bomba, which I'm going to put on in A tier just because of the difficulty. The drop rate's only 1 in 100, but you need to maul every hard mode week of Virago, and a lot of people, you know, aren't doing Virago as hard mode, especially the every single week in mauling, so it's kind of a difficult feat to even get the chance to get Bomba, but once you have that chance unlocked, it's only 1 in 100, but still, I think it deserves an A tier just because of the difficulty of hard mode Virago in general. Next, I'm going to put Kriara in the same tier as General Gardor just because of the drop rate. I'm going to take the Corporal Beast and I'm going to put him in, I'm going to say D tier. He's a little bit harder than the God Wars bosses, but his pet rate's only 1 in 2,500, which is a bit better, so I'll put it there. It's kind of a, you know, you might have to grind a little bit, but it's not going to be too bad compared to these other bosses. Vindicta is going to go in C tier with all the God Wars 2 bosses. I believe they're pretty much all on the same level. Then we have Beastmaster, who I am going to put in, I'm going to put him in C tier. I think he could go in B tier, but I'm going to do C tier for now, as Beastmaster is really easy for raids. The bad thing is, of course, raids, you know, are gated. You can only do them every, 2 days or so, and it's a 1 in 300 drop, but I believe that you can camp a Beastmaster to get this pet because you can just kill him over and over and not loot. So that's why this is going to go in C tier. You could argue it is B tier, but I'm going to put it in C tier for now. Chaos Ellie, I'm going to put in D tier. It's a joke of a boss to kill. You can kill it in a few hits, but it is in the wilderness, which is probably the only reason that it's going to be in D tier. Next we have Greg, which is going to go in C tier with all the other God Wars 2 bosses. I see a lot of bosses going in C tier, and I'm wondering if we're going to run out of room because, you know, it seems like C tier is the most popular right now. Speaking of C tier, Hellweir gets to go there as well because, you know, it's God Wars 2 boss, we're on the same difficulty. We're going to move on to KBD and we get our first F tier. KBD is insanely easy to kill. The drop rate of the pet is not too bad compared to other bosses. 1 in 2,500 and the threshold's only 500 and you kill it in like 10 seconds, so you're going to get a threshold really fast. So pretty easy boss pet if you're looking to go for one. Next we have Cowfight King, which I decided should go in B tier just because the drop rate is, you know, the Cowfight egg is 1 in 2,500 with a threshold of 500, and Cowfight King, you know, if you're soloing, that's going to take you a long time, and if you're in a team, I mean, not a lot of people do Cowfight King, and you know, it's not a super hard boss, but I would say it's kind of like Nex-ish level, so you know, it's a pretty good boss pet to get. So I'm going to say in terms of difficulty and grind, you're looking at B tier. Cowfight Queen, on the other hand, is going to be F tier. I mean, it's the same drop rate, but again, the boss is going to die insanely fast. I guess I might actually move it to E tier just because it probably takes a little bit longer than KBD to kill, but it's another easy pet, and I think it's a really cool looking pet as well. So E tier. Next, we're going to have Sear pet, which is from Elite Dungeon 1 Temple of Amenshi, and I'm going to put that in B tier. It's a 1 in 300 drop solo, and most people solo, and it's kind of difficult to learn how to solo, but once you learn, it's not too hard at all. The runs are going to take you about 20 to 30 minutes each, so 300 solos, that's your drop rate. You should get a threshold at 60, so that makes things a little bit easier. And the fact that your duo and trio kill count will count towards your solo thresholds really makes it a little bit easier and helps you out a bit getting those thresholds, but I still think it's worthy of a B tier. Next, we're going to have the second Rax pet, which is you get from the egg, and this is going to go in C tier because it is not as difficult to get as the base pet because you have thresholds, and I got mine pretty soon after I got my first pet, and I know a lot others do as well. Next, we have the Saradomin pet, and I'm going to put this in C tier as well because it's a 1 in 5k drop with a 1k threshold, so you know, it's going to take you a lot of kills even though the bosses are pretty easy. We're going to go for the Minister, which is the Magister, and this pet is going to go in E tier for me. Actually, I'll put it in B tier or D tier, and the reason why, it's a 1 in 1k drop, which Magister takes about 30-40 seconds to kill. Threshold of 200, which is really good. The only reason this is going in D tier is because you need 115 Slayer to kill the Magister. So that's a kind of a big requirement. So in terms of, the grind and what you need and how hard the boss is, stuff like that, I think it's worthy of a D tier. We're going to have Giant Mole, which I'm going to put in D tier as well. It's not too hard to kill. It's not too hard to get. But I just personally hate killing Giant Mole, so killing Giant Mole enough to get the Rotten Fang 1 in 2500, after even saying that 1 in 2500, I'm going to move this up to C tier just because it just seems like such a grind to get, as I hate Giant Mole, but that's kind of my bias there. But yeah, we're going to leave him in C tier, screw it. Next, we have the next pet, which I'm going to put with Cowfight King up in B tier because I think it's kind of the same skill level. It's kind of the same, sort of drop rate. It is the same drop rate, same threshold, pretty much same everything. So I think next should be in B tier as well. We have the second Twin Furies pet, which I'll put in C tier along with the other one. And now we move on to the DK's pets. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose all the DK's pets at once. And, I'm going to put them all in E tier. I mean, DKs, they're just, I don't know, they're just not too hard to get. Like 1 in 2500. I mean, of course, there are 3 different DKs, and they do require a threshold of 1500, but they're so fast to kill. They're really not going to be hard to get at all. You might have to kill a little bit of them, but I mean, I think Corporal Beast would be harder, and Magister needs more requirements, so I'm going to put them in E tier. So we move on to QBD. Now this was a tough one for me because, QBD used to be such like a revolutionary boss when it came out, but nowadays it is just, I think I get like 50-second kills. You do have to sit there and wait for the intro to play, which takes up a lot of time. It is a little bit annoying, but I don't really think that it's that hard compared to, other bosses. So I think I'll stick it in D tier with Corp. I think that's kind of a decent comparison. Vindicta pet, we're going to put in C tier. I think all the God Wars 2 pets should go in C tier. Next, we have the next AOD pet, which I'm going to put in A tier. I thought about S tier, but I just for the difficulty, I don't think I can put it there. It is a 1 in 3k drop rate. Your kills are going to be, you know, if you're in a really good team, I think it's like 3-minute kills if you're in a really, really good team. So it's not that crazy. I mean, but it's just, I mean, it is going to take you a lot of kills. I mean, the threshold is 600. I think it's one of the coolest looking pets, but I don't think it can make S tier. Next, we're going to have the Kiln pet, which I'm going to maybe surprise some people and put it in B tier. The reason is it is a 1 in 200 drop. And Kiln can take 30 plus minutes to do. So I think, you know, 1 in 200 drop, 20 to 30 minutes a Kiln. If you look at elite dungeons, 20 to 30 minutes in elite dungeon, 1 in 300 drop. You know, I kind of feel like it should be up there, you know, with those. The threshold's 40. The threshold in elite dungeons is 60. So it's might be a tad bit easier. Obviously, the dungeons aren't as hard. Or the Kiln is not as hard as elite dungeons. But I still think it deserves to be B tier. I would put it in between here, C or B tier, but I think it deserves to be at the end of B tier, the very end of B tier. So next we have the Soloq pet. Now this is going to go straight up to S tier. I feel like Soloq is the hardest boss to kill in the game, at least for me. You can make arguments for, you know, Telos at way higher in rage, like 4k, of course. But if we're looking at the pet and getting consistent kills, I would say this is the hardest one by far. You need it's a 1 in 1200 base chance. If you're pretty good at Soloq, you're going to get duo kills of around 8 minutes. If you're insane at Soloq, you're probably going to get 7 minutes or below. You know, that's still going to take you, you know, over 100 to 200 hours of Soloq on average, which Soloq is a very, very, you know, intense boss. So, takes a lot of practice. So I would definitely say Soloq is an S tier, threshold of 240, which is pretty good, but at the same time, it is such, you know, a hard raid. I would say in terms of difficulty for bosses, he is the most difficult boss, and he is going to be the most difficult, up there with the most difficult pets. We'll see when I finish this list, but I think he's pretty safe up here at S tier. Next, we're going to go with Telos. Now, I might surprise a lot of people here, but I'm going to put him at B tier. B tier, you heard me. Telos at B tier? What? What? You know, Telos is insanely hard. Well, you know, if Telos, I think it's a 1 in 1400 drop rate if you kill Telos under 100%. So under 100% in rage, for me, you know, obviously it's not going to be the same for people starting out, but if you know anything about Telos and you've done maybe 50 kills, under 100% Telos is pretty much super easy. You know, I would say it's easier for me to do under 100% Telos than it is for me to do like a Raptor for sure. I would say it's on par with God of War's 2 bosses for under 100%, and you can get it at a 1 in 1400 rate. If you do it over 100%, so if you just sit at 100% in rage, which you can do those kills in 5 minutes, you can use no food, just at 100% in rage, no higher, the rate is 1 in 700. That is a pretty good rate for being able to sit at 100% in rage. The rate does not go up if you're at 4k in rage or if you're at 100 in rage. It's the same rate. So threshold of 300, which is also good. I think Telos should be up here in B tier. I don't think it deserves to go A tier just because the pet is probably the easiest drop to get from Telos. So I would definitely put that in B tier because you technically do not have to know how to streak high. You don't have to know how to do over 100% in rage. You can even try to get it below 100% in rage. So it might be a little bit controversial, but I hope you see my reasoning. Next, we're going to go on to the Legios here. Now, I wasn't really sure what to do with these, but I'm just going to put them in D tier. They're really easy to kill. The only factor is you're going to be spending money on the keys. But, you know, to get Legios pets, it's not too bad. Zammy pet, we're going to put in C tier with all the God Wars 1 pets. Little Tuzzy, we're going to put in A tier. And the reason why is you have to actually get it from a drop from the boss. So you can only do this every 2 days. You can't just camp it like the other ones and get no loot. And it's also a higher rate, which is 1 in 512. So this is a pet that I am happy isn't needed for Insane Final Boss. And I definitely, you know, am happy that I don't need to get that. Next, we're going to have Vitalis, which I'm going to put up here with Soloq in S tier. I'm even thinking about moving it in front of Soloq, but I'm not sure I can. The grind for this is unreal. It is a 1 in 5,000 chance to drop. And if you know anything about Virago, it's going to take you 10 minutes to get a kill, 6 kills an hour if you're on a good team. 1 in 5,000 drop, and the threshold isn't even for 1,000 kills. So, you know, you're going to have to do 150, 200 hours of Virago before you even hit one threshold. And that one threshold is only going to make it a 1 in 2,500 chance. Now, of course, the 1 in 5k chance is per Virago drop, and he drops 5 drops at once, but you're not going to get all those drops. You know, even if you get 1 or 2 drops, the rate is still insane. So, I mean, this is definitely one of the hardest pets to get in game, and it deserves to be in S tier. Next, we're going to go with Yakamaru, and I think I'm going to put it in B tier. I put it above Beastmaster just because it's the same rate and stuff, but Yaka is harder to kill than Beastmaster. You do need a more skilled team. It is the same rate, but I think it should go up a tier. Next, I'm not going to put all these up there. Well, maybe I will, but we have the Barros bobbleheads. I'm going to put them in D, and the reason, actually, I'll put them in D. And the reason is you don't have to kill anything to get these bosses. You just need to pay a lot of money. I believe for the full set of these bosses or bobbleheads, you need 600 mil in malevolent energy, which is the only thing that makes this difficult. So I would put it in D tier just because you're going to have to spend $500 million on getting these pets. But in terms of difficulty, you know, the only difficult part is getting the money. Next, we're going to have the Baby Jad pet, which may surprise you, but I'm going to put in C tier. And the reason was, I looked this up, and you need 1,200 Thaler to get this pet, or 100 Zeal points from Soul Wars. First of all, I don't think anyone plays Soul Wars at all, you know, so I don't think you're going to be getting Soul Wars points. As for Thaler, I think it takes a while to get Thaler. You have to play mini games, which, of course, are pretty much dead in RS3. They really need to revive them. But you have to play mini games to get Thaler, and you need 1,200. And someone can tell me in the comments how long you think that would take. But I feel like that would take a decent amount of time. I'll put it in C tier, but of course I'm unsure. It could be in D tier, but it definitely doesn't deserve to be in E or F because I feel like having to play mini games for a lot of hours is worthy of that. Next, we're going to go with the Ambassador pet, which I'm going to put in A tier. I'm going to put it above Sear just because the Ambassador is a bit harder to kill. I would say it's the hardest of all 3 elite dungeons. So we're going to put Ambassador in A tier. Blackstone Dragon, I'm going to put in B tier. It's pretty much on the same level as Sear. It's definitely the easiest elite dungeon to do, but it does have, you know, take a lot of kills. And elite dungeons take a while, so that should go in B tier. And last but not least, we have the Mega Ducklings, and I'm going to put them in C tier. And hear me out, it's a 1 in 20 drop, which is very easy. But you need a lot of people to lure the Mega Duckling, and you literally have to lure it across, you know, the whole map. I've never done it, but I've seen videos on it, and it just seems like such a pain. And having to find people to do that, I mean, who's looking for Mega Duck teams? It could probably be lower in terms of difficulty, but just for the sheer annoyance of it, I'm going to end it off and put it in C tier. So here is our tier list of the most difficult boss pets to get. Remember, we did this list on difficulty of the boss itself, on how long the grind is going to take, and stuff like that. So yeah, I would like to know in the comments what you think of this list. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What would you change? You know, join my Discord and feel free to send me your list as well, and you know, I'll take a look at that because I always think it's cool to see other people's perspective. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed all these tier list videos. They're really fun to make, and I do a lot of research beforehand to try to figure out where to put things and, you know, make sure I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We hit 1,500 subscribers, hoping to hit 2K soon. That would be amazing. Be sure to like the video, turn on your notifications so you don't miss any more videos. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.